I frequently start off like really not knowing what the final, project will be, because we engage in generative processes that are materially driven. Sometimes we might work with a particular data set that is either being collected live and feeds back into the project, or it might be based on certain characteristics or parameters coming from a natural model in biology, not as a literal translation, but really looking at like what are behind these images that are contributing to behavior and transformation and change. And I think that's a pretty amazing way to think in our current context, where we're at the advent of the fourth industrial revolution, where the digital, the physical, the biological are coming together and transforming the ways that we live and work and make and play. And so with this project, I wanted to build upon, our body of work, both in terms of the research and the built work emanating from my practice, but also importantly I wanted the project to be integrated with the building and to have a context and to serve as a waypoint so that it wouldn't become just like an object in Courtyard 10, but really have sort of multiple moments of engagement with people. And so that was a key part of the proposal, even getting outside of the building and thinking about, okay, how does the project act within a network of people circulating, people working, visitors. So that was the kind of initial jumping off point, was understanding Courtyard 10 in a larger context of people collaborating, working, etc. And then we started to work with the actual sort of constraints of the space, the column. I really wanted the project to have, a height that you could experience from from above the courtyard.
To take advantage of the vast open space.
Yeah, and like what Heatherwick and Big did with these incredible sort of fluid roof forms, that was really inspirational.
The clear span space, yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It really is.
Yeah. I
didn't realize even as we were making it, how it was going to integrate into the space, and really it feels like it belongs. It's of all the other artworks we see here, like they're beautiful, but this one really feels like it's part of the building.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm glad that you think so. That was probably the biggest part of how we started the project, was to understand the context as a set of relationships, like as a system that would be different from morning to afternoon to evening.
That's very much the architect and the artist.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the other works, they're artists putting an artwork in the space.
Yeah.
Whereas you're looking at the building and approaching it, and then also bringing the science side of it, which very interesting.
Yeah.
So about the this kind of the shape of the piece, and maybe a little bit about the fabric and the cones and how that comes together. Yeah.
So as we were just talking about, the material system and the structure went through a number of different phases as we went through different reviews and dealt with constraints like fire code, etc. Like we started out with this compressive system of cones stacked in patches where the skin would also be the structure, which I was really interested in doing, and also a lot of the materials would be recycled from the textile industry. We then had to shift to a different system because having the compressive cones, the packed cones, also be the structure wasn't going to work from a fire code perspective, just because of the sheer percentage of combustibles, which became another opportunity. I love constraints. That's where my architect self comes in. And so then we pivoted and thought, okay, well, what if the tower itself takes on a different structural concept? And so we shifted to the diagrid. And in previous projects, I've worked with large 42-foot tall tensegrity towers that lift, portions of canopies. And I've had, the great opportunity to collaborate with Clayton Binkley, my now longtime engineer, who you know, his expertise in lightweight tensile structures is off the charts.
Certainly came through and helped us very quickly.
He's awesome. So I decided, okay, I was like, let's do, you know, a rigid structure that then carries this lightweight sort of gossamer assembly of fabric components. And I didn't want to let go of the cones, and so we had to kind of pivot in terms of how they would be integrated. And so what you see now are, you know, an array of these components with a flexible, stretchy, white fabric membrane that has a bespoke pattern, a gradient that moves around the whole project. And we have like 50 iterations, different densities and different color patterns. And because the original proposal was to take characteristics of the local biomes just outside of the building, which was important to Google. I thought that was pretty interesting. And so what I focused on are a series of digital simulations translating imagery from these biomes into a pattern strategy. And so the data is actually, once it gets hooked up, will be a connection to a local weather station that's collecting wind data outside of the building in the local context.
The lighting has the data will feed the lighting.
Yeah, and so then the lighting feeds in, or the data feeds into the lighting, which then you'll read that on the tower itself. We do a lot of our own digital fabrication and prototyping and testing, and that becomes a really important part of the iterative sort of process in terms of developing the design. And so for Eddy, the fabric components, which are, you know, super custom, bespoke, definitely not off the shelf material, we have tons of prototypes, little baby ones, and those had babies and lots more babies. And then once we reached a point where I felt confident with the system, we started working with Rainier and started to develop the full scale.
So yeah, you know, for us, it was a great opportunity to work with you, and really, thanks for giving us the shot to make that happen. Yeah. It was a you know, I'd say a leap for us, and we're definitely pushing forward. And so this has been a great opportunity for us to expand our skill set and the level of, you know, project management and working with the general contractors and just, you know, the project managers involved. And
you and your team did a phenomenal job. So
awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Back
we'll do
to
more.
the install.
Yeah.